Everybody, Steve here. I'm in the Illinois shop. Got my good friend Chet Falzerano with me from Italy.
Wait a minute. Hey, Steve.
Hey, how you doing? You can't see him over there. I'm going to move his mic a little closer. He's busy.
Yeah.
And the reason he's busy is he's in the middle of putting together one of only 2 sets in the entire world in existence that are Billy Gladstone original drum sets. And he brought this kit over from Italy in this crate, which is behind me right here. In that crate that was actually fantastically created by him and his wife Judy, who could not be with us for this trip. But that they put this together themselves, and I can't even believe it. And they got it here on the airline, and they didn't lose it, and they didn't break it or anything else.
Thank God for that. Thank God
right.
for that.
So, so what we got going now is Chet brought this kit over. For those of you who don't know, the Billy Gladstone drum sets are just insanely rare. Billy was a masterful percussionist, and not only that, he was also a great inventor. Invented the 3-way tuning method, which I've done a great deal of video on, the 3-way tuning method on snare drums to tune the top head separately, the bottom head separately, or both together. There's just so many innovations that Billy did, the strainer, the tone control, just so many things, and it's just a remarkable story and a remarkable history. He built about 50 snare drums, give or take, right, Chet, thereabouts?
My count, I was able to account for 61.
61.
61.
Okay. And so you do know, I should back up a little bit here. There are 2 people to me who were the go-to people for me with any information about Gladstone. Number 1 was Chet, who's sitting right here.
Number two.
The man, the expert, period, end of story on Billy. And my good friend Arnie Lang, who recently passed, our good friend Arnie Lang recently passed, was the other.
Number 1.
Yeah, and Arnie made the Gladstone replicas for many, many years, right up until his passing, and I've got many of them myself. But these are my go-to sources for anything Billy Gladstone. So I've been fortunate enough to sell many of the drums, about 12 of the snare drums, and then we talked about there were only 4 kits. And 1 kit was destroyed in fire. 1 kit, the bass drum was destroyed in a flood. So the bass drum with that kit is a replica. And then there were 2 complete original kits, one of which was the kit that was made for Benny Goodman, White Marine Pearl, with the snare drum belonged to Cozy Cole.
Cozy Cole, correct.
And that kit was owned by Carl Palmer at one point, and I helped broker that sale to Charlie Watts. Charlie owned that kit. I think everybody knows that, who's a fan of Gladstone drums, so that's not a secret. And so Chet's got the other kit, which was owned by Billy's star pupil, which was Saul Leslie Beimel.
That's correct.
And I should take a minute here, and I've not seen this kit in person. This kit is, I've seen it on Chet's, his books, the Gretsch book, the Gladstone book. I've seen pictures of it. I've never seen it in person. And when I look at it in person, I can't believe it. The condition of this it's sick beyond belief. I don't know what to say.
Too good, yeah.
I mean, here's the snare drum. I mean, this is like holy grail time here. I mean, this is the snare drum. It's just remarkable. Everything's immaculate, and the set is just spectacular. So, Chet's here. We're putting this together. I am going to be brokering this set for Chet, and some people already know that. So we're going to. I'm going to let Chet talk about it a little bit and then also too, though, you should know, up here is another incredible instrument. This is the Gretsch Gladstone snare drum that belonged to Billy. And this drum, I'll let Chet go through the heritage of it, the history of it and lineage of it, but this thing is unbelievable. And I had the pleasure of just being able to just kind of incredible instrument. And, gold-plated hardware, the gold shell. I'll let Chet talk about both of these a little bit so that he can get background from the person who really knows what he's doing here when it comes to Gladstone drums. Why don't you talk about the Gretsch Gladstone a little bit?
The Gretsch Gladstone I got from Ted Reed. He got it from, help me out here, the drummer that was the bass drum player for Radio City Music Hall.
Oh,
Joe Casca.
Joe Casca. Joe Casca.
Joe got it from Billy. Billy sold it to Joe. Joe sold it to Ted. Ted sold it to me. So that's how I got the drum. It's a 4-ply shell. Ted said that it was originally played by Billy in the 30s, which is impossible because Gretsch wasn't making 4-ply shells back in the 30s. So it was probably in the 40s. So it's not the original Gretsch Gladstone that Billy developed, but it was one that he put together at a later date. As I said, it then went to Joe Casca and from Joe to Ted. When I got the drum, it needed to be painted because the paint was not that good. It was an enamel paint, and it just wasn't in that good a shape.
And Ted had replated it, right?
Ted had replated
Had replated
it.
the gold.
He had all the gold plating redone. I had the drum refinished by a master craftsman in San Francisco. And but otherwise, it's the way Billy had put it together, probably in the 40s or early 50s, and he used it at Radio City Music Hall. So
And two-way?
it's a two-way
Two-way,
drum. It's
two-way
not.
tuning.
It's not. So that's why I say it's not the original 3-way drum that Billy had at Radio City Music Hall, but it was a two-way. I kind of believe, I don't know this for a fact, I kind of believe that Billy was figuring out the layout of the 3-ply drum when he put this thing together, because it has a place for the badge. Ted then turned that hole into an air vent hole, and Billy did not like air vent
vents,
holes.
right.
He hid them. Some of the holes were in the tensioning device for the
The
gut.
little hex key.
Right.
Yeah, that
the
was
little hex key.
invisible, and you could just turn it out, and you see the little holes there.
Right, and also he had a hole in the base of the throw-off, so you couldn't see. He thought that the hole was ugly, an air vent hole was ugly, so he hid them. But as you can see there's a hole
It's on the back, and I'll show you.
that I'm sure at
Take
one
the drum
time,
off the stand here so we can get a little bit of a shot. Here's what we're talking about here.
was for where the nameplate would actually go, because
Right.
as you can see there, the key is mounted to the right of that, the 3-way key. Since it's a 2-way drum, it didn't really need a 3-way key, so that's why I kind of think that maybe he was figuring out how he wanted to configure his 3-way drums
Sure.
when he started developing them in the late 40s.
Yeah. So this is a great piece, and the stand that we have here, which I'll take the drum off so you can see the stand a little better. This stand is something that Chet created. It's a replica of the stand that Billy had owned. And I'll bring it over here so people can get a little better shot of it right
Billy and other drummers, there were quite
Well,
a few.
you're right.
I've got pictures of several drummers playing playing snare drums on this kind of stand.
Yep.
But it's a stand, that I put together. I found the bass, and then that's a Wahlberg and Auger top
Yeah.
that Arnie Lang gold plated for me, so that it would all be as you see it there.
And of course, when you see it with that gold shell and gold hardware, I mean that's it. Like that's it.
That's it.
Yeah, just that's it. How much? That's it. Whatever you say, I'll take it. But that's a beautiful piece. So we have that, and I will be there will be a much more extensive video of all of this, including I am going to have the great honor to set this kit up and play it on a video, which I will do. But that'll be in the next few days. We just got to get this all done. Chet, because they brought this over from Italy, it has been disassembled, so he's been spending a great amount of time getting it assembled. So we're doing the video a little off the cuff here while the assembly's going on. But tell a little bit about this, the history of this, the Saul Beimel and the whole-
Saul Leslie Beimel was a student of Billy's, was himself a great instructor and a great player. He played on the cruise ferries in the Jersey, New York area. Billy called him his star pupil. So as you can imagine, he must have been just one hell of a player himself. But anyway, this set was built for Saul Leslie because it has his name on the
on the
nameplate.
badge. Yeah.
On the
SL Beimel on the nameplate on the snare drum, as you can see right there.
Yeah.
It says SL Beimel.
And it's a drum set that's covered in pearl, and as probably many of you know, Billy did not like coverings. He always said that coverings were made for toilet seats.
Toilet seats, right.
And so it's kind of odd in a sense for that, but anyway, Saul Leslie played it for a number of years. His students report seeing this set as you are seeing it put back together here, in his house that he taught lessons. And after Saul passed, it went then to Joe, help me out, in New York, the drum shop owner.
Went to Ippolito.
Ippolito.
Frank
thank you.
Ippolito.
Went to Frank Ippolito's shop. I bought it from the previous owner who bought it from Ippolito. I bought the set back in the early 90s. And when he sent me a photo of the set, I said, well, it's been recovered, right? And he said, no. He said, I think it's original. I thought, yeah, right. Well, it can't be original because it's in this kind of condition, right? But when I got the set, I realized it was.
Absolutely is.
It absolutely is. This is totally original, including, I believe, and Steve confirms,
Yeah.
he thinks that the paint on the rims is the original paint.
Yeah.
You
It's
just don't see drums in this kind of condition.
And when you consider, I mean, this is Gretsch Silver Sparkle, from that era.
And Gretsch shells.
And the Gretsch shells as well. And with a kit that was babied and cared for and not exposed a lot to light or other things, then the color wouldn't fade as much. But it's
Exactly.
still extremely unusual to find anything in that kind of condition after this many years. We're talking, what's a roughly time period this
I would say in the early 50s.
Yeah. So
And if you see here on the bass drum, usually you can see a strip here where it's normally covered by the drum heads will be a much
lighter.
lighter,
Yeah, because the
better
finishes
condition.
alter, and what's hidden under the collar
Exactly.
is generally going to be the true color of the
Original-
finish.
the original finish, yeah.
Because over the time, some of them fade, some of them darken, like
Yes.
white marine pearl, we
Right,
get yellowish,
right.
and this silver, we get ginger ale-like.
Yeah,
and
which this
is
has. I believe this
Yeah.
has ginger just a little bit.
just a little, but I mean,
just
it's
to make it beautiful.
remarkable.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about all of this is that the Gladstone snare drums, there's a rarity factor, of course, which is, like we said, there may be 60 drums. I know I've sold about 12, and I know many others that are in collections and are not for sale, and I know there are a few that were the military drums that I think are still stored away somewhere in some military closet someplace. But bottom line is they're very, very rare. But the other part of it is, what's the big deal? The big deal is they sound incredible.
Wonderful.
It's incredible.
Wonderful.
And these were highly prized by orchestral players for decades.
Play that snare drum. I had Steve.
The Beimel drum?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steve tuned this thing up, and it sounds incredible.
And I mean, I spent like 2 minutes on it. And this also, talk a little bit about the wires.
Okay, the wires. When Billy did his wires, he inserted the snare wires into wire insulation, the kind of wire insulation you see on electrical wires in your house. But this is that's how he thought would be the best way to attach the snares to the drum, because each wire then is individually connected to the throw off and to the butt.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, it's amazing stuff. Now, these are calf heads on this drum, which is going to provide a different sound than what you heard on the last drum, the Gretsch Gladstone, because that drum had plastic heads on it, regular wires. But this is just a remarkable instrument. And again, I spent about 2 minutes tuning it up. Incredible, incredible. With about 2 minutes of playing around with it.
Well, you spent a little more time.
Well, 5 minutes. But we're not going to take too much time here, but there'll be more, obviously. We'll do a more extensive video in the next few days with the entire kit in my recording studio here.
Good.
I will play the entire kit, and
You'll tune it first, please.
Yes, absolutely.
It needs tuning, obviously. It needs tuning, yeah.
Beautiful calf heads. The resonance coming out of this is just going to be incredible. 9 by 13, 16 by 16, 14 by 22, 6 by 14.
Exactly. Yeah.
Again, only 2 in the whole world complete. This is one of them. And we will be brokering this. It'll be an amazing, exciting event and opportunity. And also, of course, the gold Gretsch Gladstone snare drum, too.
And stand.
And
Yeah.
the stand.
Yeah.
Yeah, the stand goes with the snare drum. That's
Exactly.
it.
Yeah.
They got to go together
They
as,
gotta go
as a
together.
set. You don't buy them both, you can't have them. All right, well, I'm going to let it go right now, everybody, but thank you, Chet, and we will take good care of them, and everybody out there, more to come.